is Shenanigan here, and today we are actually going to go ahead and talk about the Abyss, the first part. I know a lot of people have actually already done 100% Abyss, but those are the people who actually spend a lot of money on the game as well. And I've only done one path, and in my alliance and other line groups, including on Facebook, I've had questions from people on the best paths and the best champions and a lot of myths about Abyss. So I just want to ensure that everybody at least gives it a try, at least does one path because it does have a lot of good rewards. These tier 2 alphas and tier 5 basics, which will of course help you in Act 4, 6 by 4, beg your pardon. And I mean, these crystals are these shards are useless because you're probably not going to end up opening anything good, and I didn't either. But having enough tier 5 basics to rank up a 5-star to a 565 or a 6-star to a rank 2 will actually help in the end game content. So this is the team I took. I just want to tell you that you must have heard a lot about the Four Horsemen. I can tell you that's a myth, but Aegon is not a myth. So if you have Aegon, that's who you want to take. The other two can be replaced, at least for the first part. I don't actually know a lot about the second and the third part. Nick Fury I only took for the additional 20% attack. If I could change it, I would. I would not take Nick Fury, probably not even Torch and Doom, but we'll come to that. Heimdall helped a lot. So in case you are going to take Aegon, I would suggest that you take Heimdall as well. Maybe take him for others as well, because it really helps when you are at that 1% and you do not get knocked out. You can actually go ahead and take the fight for a very long time, especially with Aegon, because if you do get hit, you are at 1%. Save your SP3, hit that SP3, you can get good 25 hits after that SP3 is done, and that means over 200 to probably 275,000 damage right that moment before you just get knocked out. So as far as masteries are concerned, this is what I used exactly as it is. I used Despair for some healed reversal if necessary. This would not have been necessary, but Aegon does have this SP2 bleed, which helped. Assassin is definitely required, and we're going to talk about this last sentence of Assassin. It says, if enemies start the fight below 18%, your champions also gain 30% of its offensive ability accuracy. So I'll tell you why this helped a bit. Of course, have courage maxed out because you want to take revives 20 and 40% only. You will start fights below 50%, so you need this extra attack. This is what I took in defense. The only reason why I took this is because I was also running Alliance Quest at that time, and I did want this extra recovery. Otherwise, I would have used somewhere else, possibly here, to extend the Fury duration for Aegon. And lastly, this is what I used in proficiencies. Now, the difference is this is not how I started. I had 2 here in Pacify, and it actually hurt a lot with the Thing fight. Because whenever I would stun Thing, he would reduce his ability accuracy by 20%, and then he will not gain rock stacks. And that would actually mess up with the counting. So I had to take it off. I would usually bring this Mystic Dispersion to 4. I don't have 5 unlocked, so I would play around 3 or 4. I maxed out this Limber because there's a chance that if you get hit by those defenders in Abyss, you get stunned. And I found it out late after a few fights that you need to get out of that stun very quickly, especially with Aegon. Because if you are able to get out of the stun and hit an SP3, it helps a lot. So max out Limber, that would definitely be my suggestion, and maybe change between Limber and Mystic Dispersion based on the fights. Don't need this on any of these champions, and This did work. Probably max out the extended fury. So I'm not gonna go ahead and do any fights right now, but we're just gonna go ahead and go in the abyss, look at the first fight, and then I have the map, so we'll use that. Again, I'm only gonna talk about the first path, because I'm not at all familiar with any of the paths, and probably I can help you on the best counters. Now, Thing isn't the worst boss. He is pretty easy if you're able to manage your way around with his rock stats. Now, if you don't have Aegon, you can always use Stealth Spidey. You can use She-Hulk, probably Gwenpool as well. Now, if unlike the Labyrinth, where there's a potential to one-shot most of the fights, if not all of them, there's no potential to one-shot any one of these fights at all. Rarely you get a one-shot. And the fact remains that the way this is designed, this abyss, is if you have a 565 champion, the max you can do is get around 220 hits, and that's it. After the 220 hits, the defender gets unstoppable and unblockable, and you can't really go around that. Now, there's some champions you can take to work around that, and that is the stealth Spider-Man and She-Hulk and Spider-Man, because you can put a slow debuff on the opponent, and the opponent will become unstoppable, but the unstoppable won't work. The unblockable will, and as long as you can evade all the special attacks, you should be good. So if you do have a stealth suit Spider-Man, I would take him here. This potentially can be a one-shot with the stealth suit Spider-Man or She-Hulk. With Aegon, it took me 11 revives, and I only started with my stash of 20%. Do not use health potions in any of these fights. I'll tell you when the health potions will be necessary. But here, if you're taking Aegon, do not take Proxima, because you will not need Proxima for anything else other than this one fight for combo shield. So if you do get hit in the first few hits only, and you die, you lose all your combo. I would like, what I did was I exit the whole quest and I started over until I was able to get in that sweet spot. Now what you're gonna need to do here is around 150 to 170 hits, just exit. It's going to be hard to exit voluntarily in order to use the revive, but do that because you want to build up that combo. Once you are at around, and even if your Aegon is not max egg, mine is though, you probably need like 2 or 3 times to revive to be in that 150 to 200 attack range, and then you can just go ahead and get him. Again, you can't really put more than 220 hits even if you're the best fighter. Now this is where the mastery actually hurt me, because with Pacify, he would not gain his rock shields, and that messed up my countering a couple of times. After, of course, the first couple of times when the combo was already built up. So, I mean, that's about it. It's not the hardest of the fights. I have the screenshot of the other fights, some of the other fights. So we're gonna look at the map now. After Thing, we have Omega Red. Now, Omega Red is also pretty simple, pretty easy. If you already are using Aegon, you can take him to Omega Red. Because he has class advantage, he will also have block penetration and some power gain, which is good. So, because you can just go ahead and keep baiting his SP1 and keep hitting, pushing him over the SP1. You are going to take block damage, so use 40% revives here. Do not heal. You'll not be able to, heal enough to get enough hits in. Uh, per block hit, I think it gets 4% of your damage. Stealth Spidey again can one-shot this boss with a slow debuff, as long as you're able to, bait these specials. So that's where he would be good at as well. There's nothing else going on with Omega Red. If you have a Guillotine 2099, you can possibly use her against him as well, but she's just gonna go ahead and take up another spot. So the third fight is Quake. Um, what we have here with Quake is she has a Earthquake meter, which keeps going up, uh, and when you hit her with a crit, then the meter would reduce. So with Aegon, you crit with every hit by now because I think by here I was around 600 combo. Uh, so wasn't an issue. The issue, however, was that she has an awakened ability called Ricochet Pulse. So if you hit into a block, you're going to take damage. That happened to me first few times. But by then, first two times actually, because after the second time I was already at 999 combo already. So with Aegon, so it didn't really matter what uh, hitting into a block. Again, this can potentially be a one shot if you have uh, She-Hulk again, Stealth Spidey again, and provided you can actually evade her special one and two both. Two is easy. One occasionally I do, take some block damage, but if you do take that block damage, she's going to be unblockable. Aegon worked. So next fight was for Medusa. Uh, Now Aegon is already at 999, but you can't take him here because Medusa gets unstoppable as well. And you can't really go ahead and take Stealth Spidey here as well because even though he can get around the unstoppable, he would not be able to get around the auto block. And if you wait out the auto block, it's gonna mess up the timer. She-Hulk can possibly one-shot her, so you can keep doing the heavy, keep refreshing that slow debuff, and you can evade the special ones and twos here. Um, Probably Symbiote Supreme could have been better with her as well, because he would just go ahead and keep spying SP2s and SP3s. I used Doom, and he was okay. Uh, One of the places where Heimdall's energy helped me was here as well, because there would be a couple of occasions where I would get hit uh, and be at 1% and just sustain like 150 hits at that 1%. Uh, but Symbiote Supreme over Doom here. Uh, and the next fight is with the Mephisto. Now, Human Torch is only good for this fight, and is only good if you have the Awakened ability. Not the Awakened ability, the Persistence Charge, that is, that you can use in this fight. And yes, you can potentially one-shot him. A good tip on this fight would be instead of evading his SP1, block it. Blocking the SP1 will increase the temperature for Human Torch, and the smolder charges will increase as well, which will eventually be beneficial as well. So keep blocking in his SP1 and keep hitting into his block. The problem comes if you're not able to one-shot it, and which would happen to almost every one of us. Not everyone can go out in one shot. I took off 65% in the first try, which was great. Now, this is where the awakened ability of Human Torch would have been great, and my Human Torch was not awakened. Um, because of the number of times we revive, it's very likely Human Torch will gain his possession charge back. But after I did get knocked out once, it took me at least 7 or 8 revives to get back and get Human Torch, and I did not want to use anyone else because that would be suicide. Um, but Human Torch didn't have enough damage for the rest of the fight as much as we can incinerate. It was worthless. Void could have been better here. Uh, he would be able to stop his power gain and incinerate immune. So I don't think Human Torch would have been good, and he wasn't good anywhere else at all throughout the path. Next game, Captain Marvel. Now she is a little annoying, and the only reason why she's annoying is because of the note she has. You cannot be below 1.5 bars of power. If you are there, you are going to get energy damage, and it will be a lot. Doom was possibly not the best person I could have actually taken because with every SP1, I am, stealing her power. Uh, Both her and Doom would gain power gain buffs as a part of the node. So Doom would actually gain power from that power gain. And due to the awakened ability of Doom, whenever I nullify a power gain from the opponent, I get another power gain. So I would have two power gains and stealing the power on SP1 and can't be below 1.5 powers of power. So it was very tough. She also gains on Unstoppable, so she didn't because of Doom, but I think Symbiote Supreme would have been better here, owing to the fact that he gains power pretty slowly. So reaching that one bar of power would have been slow, and then even with the power gain, you can potentially keep spanning that SP1. So Doom was not the best champion for her. Next came Ghost. Ghost is again one of those champions which you can potentially one shot. Uh, Tech champions in this abyss have this node where they would steal your power when after 10 hits. I don't remember if Ghost, did have that node or not. But even if she did, you can simply one shot if you have still Spidey, She-Hulk, probably Spider-Man. Stealth Spidey is probably the best. With Aegon, I think it took me like 2, 3 revives because again, you can't do more than 220 hits, so you have to die and come back over. Then Iron Man Infinity War. This was one of the fights I was dreading because I do not like fighting it. But Aegon was at 999 combo, so he loves fighting him. Um, because of the two strike, he would not uh, be able to overblock because of 999 combo. I would be able to just break his block and keep hitting him. And because of the node that Abyss has, that every 10 hits, the defender will gain your power. He would go back above 2 bars of power, Iron Man, and it would be pretty easy to just evade that. So he was actually pretty simple. I do not think that still Spidey would have been able to help me here, or She-Hulk for that matter. Next came Joe Fixit. So there's this myth going around that Joe Fixit does have a lot of regen, and I'm assuming it's a myth because he never regen with me. I used Joe Fixit. I'm sorry, I used Aegon, and I'm assuming because of the ability accuracy reduction with every critical hit Aegon has, that's why I didn't gain any health. Um, I don't think that you'll be able to one-shot him even with the Still Spidey or She-Hulk unless you can evade his SP1 properly. But again, pretty simple, 3, 4 revives again. The amount of health these champions have, you can't hit more than 2 for 20 hits. That was about it. Next we have Mordo. Again, Mordo was pretty simple. He was always defensive when he was in the power gain mode, so you can always hit his heavy. I used Human Torch. Now that I think I should have used Aegon or possibly Stealth Spidey, because he can't evade. Um, Human Torch was a disaster. Uh, no damage at all, and I mean probably in Nova form, but really bad. Took a lot of revives, and I don't remember how many now. But Aegon or Stealth Spidey would be better. Then we have Venom the Duck. Venom the Duck is a little annoying, but he actually is one of the best champion to fight using Symbiote Supreme if you have 5 MD. And I just actually forgot to say about Captain Marvel. Because of so much of power gain, I actually had to remove Mystic Dispersion here in order to be able to be below 1 bar of power. So not the same for Venom the Duck though, because if you have MD5 and you are using Symbiote Supreme, he is the best champion to use against him. Take Symbiote Supreme. At the beginning of the fight, you nullify 10 of his buffs. If you are at MD5, you are already at full bar of power. Push him, or rather just hit your SP3. That will push him above 1 bar of power and all that damage. Bait his SP1, you will again gain uh, 10 buffs, hit SP3 again. And you can keep continuing that cycle over and over again. If you have MD4 though, then you may have to put in a few hits before you can beat an SP3. So it takes a little time. Symbiote Supreme, MD5, best counter. I used Doom, and he was also a great counter. Occasionally, Venom the Duck would regen, even though I was able to nullify it with the SP1, but he would gain a lot of power, a lot of health, usually 1 or 2%, which is a lot before nullify, and that actually hurt a lot. Not much going on here. I don't think you'll be able to one-shot him. Might be, but that health gain will actually affect. So maybe if you're using Stealth Spidey or She-Hulk, soon as you see the region, just exit. But honestly, it was difficult to see the reason with a region with all the buffs that were there on the screen. It's not easy. Next come Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck again, pretty simple. The catch on this fight is the first, well, actually not the first 30, but he has this indestructible that every crit will remove or a heavy. So you potentially wait someone who has a lot of hits in heavy. With Aegon, it was pretty simple because every hit of Aegon is a crit. So you parry to heavy, three attacks in his heavy takes off six indestructible charges. Usually in 18 hits, all the 30 of these indestructible would be removed, then you can just do the damage. If you have still Spidey, do like 15 heavies, and then you can most likely one shot him because it's pretty simple to evade him as SP1, even if he gets unstoppable. So not a bad fight. The catch here is that at 60% and at 30%, he has a chance to either initiate Thunderquack damage or regen. At 60%, I saw processing written on the screen. I think I parried and it went away. So I don't know if that works. Maybe it went away because of Aegon's ability reduction, but that's what happened. At 30%, I did not see processing, but I'm assuming I got Thunderquack and Aegon shrugs off debuffs. Maybe he did. I didn't actually see it come on me. So it's pretty easy. Next is Hyperion. Hyperion was one of the best fights with Doom. Uh, the thing to remember about Doom is in whichever fight you are taking him, you are probably going to do that SP3 cycle. You hit two SP3s, and then you hit an SP2. Uh, my suggestion would be to ensure that you do hit an SP2. If you're not doing the SP2, you're not getting that incident damage. And what happens is that because of the amount of power he's gaining, you gain a lot of power as well. I have MD4. Um, you keep spending that SP3, and it does not help a lot. There's not a lot of damage in that SP3, that the damage over time doesn't. So do not forget hitting that SP2 when you have done your two SP3s. Same with Champion. Uh, and I guess this Hyperion could have been one shot with still Spidey as well. Probably She-Hulk too. Champion was pretty easy too. Again, I used Doom. Symbiote Supreme on both of these would have been great as well. Uh, on Hyperion too. On Champion as well, it's a same thing. He is pretty simple. A potential one shot with Shield Spidey, She-Hulk, Symbiote Supreme was good. It would have been good rather. Doom was great. So next comes Cyclops. Now, if you have fought Cyclops in the Labyrinth, you would remember him getting unblockable all the time. It's different here because he gets unblockable, and next time you have to parry. Uh, so how I remembered him is with that Michael Scott trick. Green means go ahead and block, and orange means orange you create, you evade it. So if he has this green buff on him, just go ahead and parry. If he has the orange one, just go ahead and evade. And evading SP1 is pretty simple. Now, the catch is that when he has that green buff, you have to parry the beam. You cannot just block it. If you block it, you'll take a lot of block damage. You have to time it right, so it is a parry. That was an issue for me a few times because occasionally I was not able to parry the beam and I would take block damage. Heimdall would save me. I would not get those furies from Aegon, but at least I was able to go ahead and sustain enough to get around a few more hits. You can parry at 1% as well. It's not going to give any damage. He doesn't gain any power like that as well. He gains power, I think, every 10 seconds or so. So you can keep doing this backdraft intercept on him, and he's aggressive. He's going to come hit you. So uh, if you're not able to master the parry, he's going to cost you a lot of revives. But otherwise, he's great. Stealth Spidey can potentially do it certainly, uh, as long as you can, parry. But I'm not sure if he gets unblockable if that parry will work or not. So maybe you can't one shot him. Okay, next on Loki. With Loki as well, I used Human Torch for the most part. And this is where I started to get annoyed with the Human Torch damage because he has no damage. I tried him like 2 or 3 times, could not get any damage in, brought him Aegon, and just finished him with Aegon. It was pretty simple. Um I'm gonna come back to that Aegon part again one more. In each of these fights, when Aegon is at 999 combo, or sometimes even lower than that, you wanna use that heavy method, wherein the attacker is the defender is attacking you, and you put a heavy, you get unstoppable, don't lose more than 5% health, and get those 6 furies. It really helped in most of the fights. Mostly when I knew that I was about to, die, I would ensure that I do not use any specials, be at special 3. If I have very small health left, I would do that heavy method, save by the Heimdall's energy, get an SP3, stun for 7 seconds, and get those 20-25 hits, including an SP1. Um, Now you need to learn how that works because you can't just really go ahead and heavy at the beginning of the fight. It doesn't really work. What you want to do is you want to do a backdraft heavy. You hit into the champion's a block or maybe hit him. Let them use a special first. Go back, let them attack you and do a heavy right away. That worked most of the times. Beginning of the fight heavy did not work for me a lot of times. Next we have Aegon. Aegon again was simple. You can potentially one-shot him with still Spidey. The difference here is that you will always have 100% ability accuracy reduction unless you're throwing a special. So you may not be able to do a slow debuff on Aegon uh, with normal light attacks. You will have to do it with your special attack. I used Aegon against Aegon. I did not get my True Strike and Unstoppable and those Furies, so the damage was less. So I kept throwing SP2. You don't even get those 6 Furies with Heavy here. So with SP2, of course, you get those Furies, so the bleed damage is still high. Now, what had happened here was, again, I think I took like 3 or 4 revives here. Um, I got knocked out at 17% when he was at 17%, revived and came back. Because of the assassin synergy, the mastery. Um, because this defender was below 17%, I came back with 30% extra uh, ability accuracy, which means my ability accuracy was 130%. And because this note says minus 100% ability accuracy, that means I still had 30% ability accuracy. So there were times that at that below 17% health for the defender, I started becoming unblockable and started getting those furies and unstoppable. So that was good. Next comes Invisible Woman. That's what people have suggested using Nick Fury for, but so she has this node. She's gonna keep putting stings on you, power stings. So when you use a power special attack, you will lose health unless you have a debuff. And she puts debuffs on you, when you're fighting her. So if you have that debuff, you'll not get power sting. If you don't, then you will. So in this fight, I disabled Dispersion and I enabled Willpower in order to get those the healing from those debuffs. I used Aegon. Totally forgot that Aegon shrugs off those debuffs, and it was a bad fight. I used him once. Then I remembered that Human Torch does bypass invisibility when he is above 10 temperature, and that worked a lot. I uh, was able to hit her through her invisibility, and I was mostly above 15 temperature most of the fight. I kept gaining from the debuffs that she puts on you. There were occasions when I would actually go down to 1% health and play well enough to get those debuffs and get back to 30, 40, 50% health and keep throwing specials. But in the damage of Human Torch was poor. Uh, Even though she has that shield, after the shield was removed, it was just rubbish. So I came back with Aegon, and this is the fight where you wanna heal up. Even though she puts those debuffs on you, you wanna heal up because you wanna throw your specials and you want to ensure that you have enough health. That even after you lose that health, you have enough health. Aegon was excellent. After she would lose her shield, I would go ahead and do a backdraft heavy, gain those furies, and do massive amount of damage. Had to revive Human Torch like 3, 4 times, probably more. I don't remember, but at the same time, I had to do Aegon the same amount of times, and he got her. Uh, the second to last fight is this Calopsidian, and he is also great when you have a Symbiote Supreme and you have 5 MD. At the beginning of the fight, you disable all his 10 debuffs, you gain full power, push him by 1 bar, let him throw his special, and then do an SP3 again. The better part here is that unlike this Venom the Duck, he would lose 10% health every time you disable those 10 debuffs. So he would be pretty simple, easy one shot with Symbiote Supreme uh, and Doom as well. Potentially, I made a mistake, died once, but with Doom you can just keep throwing SP ones and keep disabling uh, his buffs. And then came the Collector. I already posted his fight. Collector is pretty difficult. I don't think that you can ever one shot him. Uh, I did not use anyone else but Avon, and that backdraft intercept was excellent. There's a lot of block damage, so this is the second fight throughout where you want to go ahead and heal. Uh, and you want to heal because you are going to take block damage from SP1 and SP2. I tried evading a few times, but there were certain times that you can't even evade SP2. I think it's when he's below 40%, I think, or 55%. I'm not sure. But that was about it. Just go ahead, do as much damage as you can. You wouldn't get knocked out, revive, and start over. Uh, I think I took 17 revives in this fight, and which was pretty low because I believe that there were fights where I did similar number of revives. I think um, it was a Captain Marvel fight most likely. I don't completely remember. Could have been uh, probably the Cyclops fight as well. Not really sure. Anyways, it's not very bad. It's not as hard as the champion boss in 6.2. He's not even as hard as himself in 5 when he's I think in 5.2. Um, so definitely just if you have Aegon, he's going to be best. Uh, Stealth Spidey can potentially work if you can throw in that uh, two debuffs on him and get that extra fury probably through do an SP1. But being able to hit into the block, be unblockable, push him above 2 bars of power was the best. And whenever you think that you're about to die, do a backdraft heavy, get those 7 furies, get him stunned, do those uh, that 25 hits with SP1. He was great. So that's about it. I mean, I hope that this would help. Potentially, if I was to go back into the same path, I would most likely going to go with Aegon, Stealth Spidey, uh, Symbiote Supreme, and who else? Heimdall, of course. Can't miss Heimdall, and probably Void, because I think Void would be better counter. Uh, you can, I mean, the only reason you need someone in Central Immune is because of this Mephisto. He has that aura active almost all the time. So I don't know, maybe Colossus can probably do it too. I'm not sure. Void can certainly do it. So that would have been my team. Uh, could have, I mean, Void is definitely necessary. Heimdall would have been necessary, but you can play around other champions. So if you don't have those so-called four horsemen, you can still do this one path, and you can still go ahead and get those rewards. So this is just screenshots I took. Uh, I think this was my first uh, KO, and I got to 455 combo by the time I reached him. 790 when I reached her. 827 after the first death. Doom was great. I think this was not one try. This was more than one try. 65% in one try, and then it was a nightmare. Um, just some random screenshots. 224 hits, couldn't get more than that because of the Abyss node. Uh, this was okay. 222. I think this is a video possibly to show that damage of SP3 for Doom, which was pretty bad. How many Furies do I have? There are 2 Furies, so damage was pretty bad. So you want to hit this SP3, you want to get this incinerate damage, without which I don't think that you would be able to do a lot of damage from Doom. So I don't know how I was able to get 258 hits here, but I was. So 243 here. So again, I mean, if you can potentially one-shot, that'll be great. 118. This is Howard the Duck. Can't get more than 244 hits here. Can't get more than 262. I know why the hit count kept on changing. Can't get more than 247 here. I don't think this was Cyclops. It could have been Loki. Or it could be Aegon. I think I get knocked out, so that was Aegon. And this was possibly yeah, for Invisible Woman. So well, that's it. It's not that hard. It's not that bad. It is definitely worth doing. These rewards, 4 of these tier 5 basics, 8 is it of this tier 2 alpha. This is a lot of upgrade material, and I would suggest everyone try this path. It took me 3,000 units, 117 revives in total, but I'm pretty sure if I changed the team, it would have been much lesser. If you have around, I don't know, 40 revive stashed, 20 of level 1 and 20 of level 2, you can potentially do it in like 1500 units or so. And that is what this is about. I mean, it is definite that this is an easy thing to do. So whoever is skeptical, go ahead, give it a chance. It will definitely work. Of course, provided if you have, you know, the required gems. But this is a great piece of content. I'm not going to do any of the other parts so far. I'm going to wait for 6.4. I'm going to try doing that first. And I don't even have anyone else to upgrade right now. no one else I can actually possibly think of taking to R5 right now. I think in Act 4, Emma Frost is someone who would be helpful, so I'm gonna probably upgrade her. Probably Void too, not sure. But anyways, there was that. I know it's a long video. I just wanted to ensure that everybody knew exactly what to do while going into this quest, and to ensure you guys that this is not pretty hard. It's just a little annoying, but the rewards are really good. And that's about it. Thank you for watching this video. Good day. Bye bye.